feeling?
Hello, Mariana.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
namaste.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mariana.
Hello.
Hello, hello, my huge. How are you? Namaste.
Namaste.
Hello,
I am
ma'am.
fine.
Ma'am. Namaste.
Hello, Swati.
Hello,
Hello,
Ruben, sir.
Ruben. Ravi.
Hi, Mariana. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello, hello. Hello, Suchita.
Yes, nice to
Hello,
see you.
Suchita, ma'am.
Yes,
Hello,
Swati.
Manjusha,
Hello,
ma'am.
Swati.
Yes.
Nice to see you too.
Yes. Hello, Swati.
Oh, yes.
I have shared feedback link on your WhatsApp.
Yes. Yeah, I will share on Facebook. Yeah. Yes.
Before 15 minutes. Before 15 minutes.
Yeah. I will share.
Okay. At the end.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
There is a training. There is a training. India's national bird.
ते नाही त्याचं ते गार्डन विषयी सांग
बरोबर आहे एवढं.
किती वाक्य झाले ते 5च वाजे अजून एक सांग की जरा मस्त पैकी त्याला वाक्य तर अजून काय लिहू शकतो तू
अजून लिह
दत्तल फोन करा मला फोन करा
So mute. I request all of you, please mute your mic, please. Please.
Please mute your audio, ma'am.
Yes. Please mute your audio.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello, it's time. I think the countdown has finished now. And we are here for the most awaited moment. I would like to request other co-hosts to check who is speaking over there and mute. I request other co-hosts to look into the matter and check whose mic is unmute. Okay. So the most awaited moment has arrived, and we have here for our today's session. Shall we proceed? Manjusha, Ruben sir, Mariana Madam.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay
Yes.
then. Okay.
We will proceed. We will proceed because it's already 7.
Yeah. So, Suswagatam, welcome, and bienvenidos. Am I right? Okay. Okay, I'm learning Spanish now. Okay, so Suswagatam, welcome, and bienvenidos, all of you. And good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Suchita, and with my colleague Manjusha, I welcome you heartily for today's learning session. We were all somewhat stuck over a particular stage, that is framing questions. But now we can see that the light, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We feel immensely honored and happy to introduce our today's speaker, Professor Dr. Narayan Chakrakodi, who needs no introduction as such. He would lead us to formulate our exploratory action research question today. Let me try to introduce our today's speaker. Please excuse me, Ravi sir, if I fall short, because your CV was too huge and so impressive, and you have so many accomplishments at your in your belt. Let me introduce Mr. Ravi Narayan Chakrakodi sir. Please unmute Ravi sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you will
sir.
not
Sorry.
Fall short. You will not fall short of words, but please make it short. Introduction can be made very.
How can we? It's a Herculean task. You had achieved so many things. It's a 9-page CV which I had read, and that's why it's a very hard task for me to make it short. Brief it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me
Please
try.
keep it short.
Okay, so Professor Dr. Ravi Narayan Chakrakodi sir has come a long way in last 28 years. He has a hardcore go-getter, as he left no opportunities to learn and share his knowledge and to maintain his CPD. Professor Dr. Ravi Narayan Chakrakodi sir had MA in TESOL in 2008-9. He is awarded with Hornby Fellowship for year 2008 and 9, as well as Hornby Scholarship Award in 2015. He is the member of ITFL UK, member of LIF India. He is the member of BC Policy Think Tank Group for CPD of English language teachers. His stupendous work includes the writing of 16 articles which were published in various edited books as well as journals. He is the editor of bilingual journal published by Regional Institute of English, Bangalore. He delivered noteworthy presentations, and which includes an annual. His presentations were or are at 43rd Annual International ITFL Conference at Cardiff in 2009. He had presented. He had presented a UGC-sponsored national seminar in 2010. He was a keynote speaker for various presentations. He is the reviewer for Open Education Resources for English Language Commonwealth of Learning, Canada. He had attended many webinars. The list was so huge. As sir has recommended, to make it brief, I omit this part. His contribution to the development of the English environment in South India is remarkable. He is the member of Board of Examiners. He is the member of Board of Studies. He is the member of State Resource Group for Quality Teacher Education in South India. He had designed content for distant mode of programs, and he is delivering his services to building up the English environment, not only in India, but worldwide. So I just tried to introduce him, but now his word would spoke with us, or he would deliver his session, and then I think you would have no other introduction needed. Or Ravi Narayan sir. Over to you, Ravi Narayan sir.
Thank you, Suchita. Yeah, thank you for your wonderful introduction. And also, thank you, Manjusha, Suchita, and the entire team for inviting me to engage today's session. Dear Ruben and Mariana, thank you for joining. I feel a bit nervous to handle the session in front of you because you're all experts in this field. All right, so yeah, let me begin. All right, so dear teacher friends, dear teacher research mentors, I'd like to begin. Yeah, I work at the Regional Institute of English, which is a premier teacher training institute in India. We mainly work with in-service teachers from government and aided schools. And as Suchita said in her introduction, we also publish a biannual journal called the English Classroom, which is a peer-reviewed journal. So those of you who are interested in writing reports of your research studies, or those of you who are interested in publishing articles based on your exploratory action research, you're welcome to contribute your papers to our journal. We publish quality papers, and the journal is published twice in a year. Right, so with that short introduction, let me begin my session. Yes, okay. All right, so this is my plan for today's webinar, in fact. Before I make my presentation, I'd like to listen to at least a few of you. I would like to know the journey you have undertaken so far. And then I'll talk about forming appropriate research questions. And then we'll also briefly discuss methods for gathering data or evidence. All right, yeah. So that's the plan for today. So let me just listen to a few of your experiences. What was your journey like? What have you been doing as mentors or as teacher researchers? What activities have you carried out as part of EMAR Maharashtra 2020? Yeah, all right, let me, minimize this, and maybe 4 to 5 minutes, let me listen to the journey that you have undertaken so far. Yes, please. That will help me make my presentation. Yeah.
So please nominate anybody, like, except me.
Yeah, you can unmute, any of you, you can unmute and share your experiences. What was the journey like? I'm not familiar with, many of you, in fact, this is my first interaction with your group. So instead of me nominating, if you can volunteer, it will be great.
Okay. May I nominate Manisha Lokhande or Ajita, or maybe Vikram sir, Sudhakar sir?
Yeah.
Vikram sir, you are there. Ajita. Yeah, please open up. There is no right or wrong.
Yeah. You can unmute Sudhakar. Sudhakar sir. Sudhakar Katare. Please unmute. He's trying to speak. Can you unmute everyone? Yeah, can you unmute? Sudhakar especially. Sudhakar Shahida is trying to, yeah.
Hello, sir. Hello, good evening, Ravi Narayan sir, Ruben sir, and Mariana ma'am. It's a nice chance to present myself and my journey as a mentor in front of you. Sir, we have discussed about our problems, our puzzles, and our success stories with our mentees. And then we have chosen our topics now. But some of my mentees are stuck in research questions. We don't know how to narrow down research questions, how to narrow down our focus on our topic. So I hope this session will help me to narrow down and to choose questions for my mentees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhakarji. Yeah.
Okay, here's Vikram. So now we are trying to work under the guidance of Suchita ma'am and Manjusha ma'am. They're guiding, and just today in afternoon we have conducted the session to it means to explain what is the exploratory action research. I conduct that session with Manjusha. That was the good opportunity to us that we got a chance to present over there with our participants, with our mentees.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vikramji.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Who else? Yeah.
Yogita ma'am, Vrushali.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Good evening, one and all. Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, it's a great opportunity for all of us through this EMAR project. Our super mentors, Mariana ma'am, Ruben sir, mentors Manjusha ma'am, Sucheta ma'am are guiding us for these research questions. Actually, I had done one research before this, but I don't have so many idea about it. Now, many ideas are get clear through their guidance. And now I am also guiding my mentees for this research. I am very thankful to all my super mentors and mentors for giving us such a chance to present ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you, Yogita madam. Anyone else?
Manjusha ma'am,
are you here?
Good evening, sir. May I, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Ruben sir and Magic sir. Actually, we have started the journey with these super mentors and mentors, and today only we conduct one session in the afternoon as a formal one. But before that, we have convinced our mentees. This is not a very deep and very tension valley research. Because if we suggest them that it is an action research project, then everyone got, oh God, what is this? We have to search a lot and we have to read a lot. We have to make a research papers and present it over there. So this is not so much clumsy process. So we just convinced our mentees, and today we have conducted a session about what is exactly exploratory action research. But still we are not very clear with that part, which is the basic one. What is that action research question? So I hope we all will get thoroughly information with this session. Up to now, we are very satisfied, but still there are some difficulties, some queries in our mentees' mind and our mind also. So this much is our journey. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. All right. Anyone else, or can I continue with my presentation? Suchita, yeah, can I continue?
Please, sir.
Maybe you can Yeah, maybe you can mute others so that we don't get much disturbance during the presentation. All right.
Sure.
So yes, can you see my slide? Yeah, is it visible? Suchita, slides? Yes, okay, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right, yes. So let me, yeah. So first of all, I just like to say that in exploratory action research, we are not doing research on learners. All right. So we are not experimenting with them. We are not doing research on them. We are doing research with them. All right. So we'll have to involve them in our classroom research. And we should not be, doing experiments on our learners. And then we're generating data with students, not collecting data from students. All right. So there's a lot of difference. Just look at this on, with, and generating data, not collecting data from students. All right. So that's the purpose, is not to collect data by interrogating them, by probing. All right. We're just generating data. Our primary duty is to teach, help them to improve their learning. But along with this, if we are able to reflect on what we are doing, if we are able to analyze our own classroom practices, that will help us in our professional growth. And when we say data collection, it's not a one-shot data collection. All right, it's a part of the classroom process, research process. Right. And okay, so in fact, Fullan, he is a pioneer of educational change. He talks about inductive approach to educational change. What he means by inductive approach is that, any change has to happen from within, should take place in the classroom. He doesn't believe in a top-down approach. All right, so Fullan says, not relying on someone else's theory. As teachers, we should not rely on someone else's theory, but we should use practice, our own practices, to get at theory. And more directly, using practice to discover strategies that work. So instead of borrowing theories from outside, instead of just reading journal articles and implementing something in the classroom, which is slightly a top-down model, if we are able to reflect on our practice, if we can use our practice to get at theory, to arrive at theory, to evolve our own personal theories, I think that will be wonderful. That, I think, is more sustainable than a deductive or a top-down kind of approach. And then Hopkins, 2014, in his book, he says, teachers who engage in their own research, they are developing their professional judgment and are moving towards emancipation and autonomy. So teachers and mentors who are involving in their own research activities, they're developing their professional judgment. So that is the best way towards autonomy, he says. So making autonomous professional judgment. I think teacher research of this kind, helps us in becoming autonomous teachers and the best teachers in our field. So what are the advantages of a teacher being a researcher? Okay, not an outsider. So which is better? An outsider coming into your classroom and doing research, or the teacher herself doing research about her own practices? Which do you think is better? Can somebody unmute and speak? Yeah, again, you'll have to unmute at least some of them. Yeah, I would just like to listen to one or two of you. So why do you think teachers should do research? Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah, so what's the difference between a teacher? Yeah. Yes, please. Who'd like to speak?
Yes, may I?
Yeah, please.
Research is very necessary because when we are teaching to our students, the teacher himself or herself has to do the research so that he can come to know the problems that students are facing, and he can overcome over all those problems. And students are also get the opportunity to learn more and more.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Yes. Anyone else?
May I, sir?
Yeah, please.
And we also know the situation, background of our students and their current situation.
Exactly.
Outsiders don't know their background and their situation.
You're right.
Do they have any material for study or not, or any particular things in their surrounding?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We know the environment of our learning.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. So you know your context much better than anyone else. You know your students' background, you know their problems, you know their strengths. All right. So these are the advantages of a teacher researching her own classroom. All right. So as a researcher, teacher researcher, I can look at children in greater depth, right? I have control over the environment. And I can structure learning experiences as needed. You can plan your learning activities, teaching activities, right, as required. And you can take more risks as a researcher. And you have confidence that what you're researching is being implemented in the classroom. So you're integrating teaching, learning, and research, classroom research. So you know that what you're researching, what the data, kind of data you're collecting is actually useful, right? And then you're also able to gather compelling evidence of children's learning and talk about it to others. All right, you can collect rich data about their progress in learning, how are they improving in their learning, and then you can talk about it to others. You can share your experiences with other teachers. And as a researcher, you can look at instructional materials and analyze whether they meet the needs of children. All right, so it's not just teaching, you're also reflecting on the kind of course books, textbooks you have, the type of materials you use. You're critically analyzing them, right? So you can look at instructional materials, analyze whether they meet your students' needs or not. And you have independence because you can explain what you are doing. So you have that autonomy, you have that freedom, and you can explain with greater confidence what you're doing. You can arrive at your own theories. That makes you a very confident teacher. And then you can uncover evidence as to whether something is working or not. You can talk with evidence. That's what research is all about, gathering evidence and then doing something very systematically and scientifically. Right, now, how do we develop a focus for our classroom research, right? So one way of doing this is, if you want to focus, if you want to bring focus to your research, then one way of doing it is reflecting on these three questions, like what is happening now? What's happening in your classroom now? And then what could be improved? And what can I do about it? If you ask these three questions to yourself, what's happening in my classroom now? What am I doing? And are there any areas for improvement? What could be improved? And what can I do about it? Right? Yeah, these three questions I think are important, which will help you to frame your research questions. And when you form research questions, I think Hopkins talks about two types of questions. One is called open questions and the other one is called closed questions. He calls them two different approaches actually, open approach and closed approach for framing research questions. So in open approach, see, we frame questions based on critical reflection. All right. We inquire in order to understand the context better. We don't begin with a problem. Based on our reflection, analysis, we want to find out more. So inquiring to understand things better, which results in improvement, or that will lead to improvement in practice. Whereas in closed approach, we identify a classroom problem. It's based on an already identified issue. You identify a problem, maybe, and then you test and explore the you frame a hypothesis, you test it, and then you explore. Identifying a problem, and then following this research process, collecting data, and then trying to arrive at solutions. So these are two different approaches he talks about. And in open approach, see, these are the steps included. One is broad, you identify a broad area of inquiry, right? And then you take up an initial inquiry, and then you narrow down the focus. All right. Whereas in closed approach, we take up a specific issue, then develop research questions, and then we select appropriate research methodology, data collection methods, tools, and all that. Okay. So for example, in open approach, I'm just giving one example. How can we get children to ask the types of questions that will further their learning? So you've not identified any problem. You've just identified an area for inquiry. How can I get children? How can I get children to ask different types of questions that will further their learning? This is not a problem. This is an inquiry. How can I do this? So based on this broad area of inquiry, you can take up an initial inquiry and then narrow down the focus. Then you can break down the main question into 4 or 5 sub-questions. Okay, can you mute your mic? Maybe you can mute every, yes, right, thank you. So this can be broken down into sub-questions. Like, for example, what are children's attitudes towards asking questions? What are their attitudes towards asking questions? Which children in the class ask the most or least questions? What types of questions are currently being asked by children? All right, what types of questions do they ask? Maybe you can add 1 or 2 more questions to this. So these are called open questions. So basically what you're trying to do is reflecting on your classroom practices, and then you're trying to understand your practices better, which will lead to some improvement in your practice. All right. So if you think the types of questions students ask, if you think it helps in improving their learning, yes, then maybe you will change your strategies, your methods of teaching. And the open approach, I think most of you are aware of this. We take up an issue, then we focus on research questions, and then start collecting data, which we'll discuss a little later. Right. Now, according to Dana and I'm not, I can't see it because my screen is hidden actually. So they say research questions or questions related to social justice or the context. Answerable, they should be focused and solution oriented. See, first of all, they should be manageable. You can do research on something that you can manage. All right. Don't take up issues that are beyond your control. And then questions which are answerable. Okay. So I'm sorry. What happened to this? Okay. One second. Yes. Questions which are answerable, which are focused on a topic and which are solution oriented. So some of the features of a good research question are, for example, they should be meaningful for the teacher, manageable, and important for learners. So you know the definition of teacher research, right? Research initiated by teachers and carried out by teachers into issues of importance to them in their workplace. So it should be meaningful for the teacher, it should be important for learners, and it should lead to action. So you're trying something and then improving teaching learning, and it should lead to the implementation of something and bring some change in your classroom. And they should be authentic, genuine, authentic, and a question, I mean, which doesn't lead to a yes or no answer. See, sometimes we know answers for our questions, still we think they are good research questions. No, if you already know the answer for your research questions, then you don't need to ask them. All right. And it shouldn't just lead to a simple yes or no question. You should be able to go a little deeper into the issue. All right. Probe, elaborate, clarify. Right. And So here are a few questions. I would just like you to use the chat box and type whether they are appropriate. Are these questions appropriate? Not bad, not properly formed. Okay, A means not appropriate. B means, oh, I'm sorry, A means appropriate. I can't actually see this because, yeah. So if you write A, the question is appropriate. If you write B, not bad. And if you write C, questions are not properly formed. Okay, now let's look at the first question. How can I teach more effectively? You can unmute and speak, or you can use the chat window. I'll be looking at the chat box. Yeah. How can I teach more effectively? Do you think this is an appropriate research question? Do you think it's okay, it's not bad? Or do you think it's fine, it's appropriate? I mean, it's, yeah, what do you think? A, B, or C? Appropriate, not bad, not properly formed. Okay, let me look at the chat window. Yes, please. One. Let's look at the one. Okay. So some of you are saying appropriate. Yay. Yay. Okay. Yay, Shahi. Okay. Yay, appropriate. Many of you are saying yay. Sudhakar, Haryana, Sudarshan, they are saying C, not properly formed. Sohail is saying yay, appropriate. Jaya is saying not appropriate. Okay. Roshali, appropriate. Okay, why do you think it's appropriate? Okay, let's, you can unmute and speak. Can you unmute everybody? Suchita, who would like to? Why do you think this is appropriate? Or why do you think this is not properly formed? Yeah, those who posted A, can you justify?
You are
yes,
all
please.
on mute.
Yeah. So who would like to speak? C, those who have opted for C. Why do you think the question is not properly formed? Yeah. Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Who is speaking? Can I know your name, please? We can hear you. Carry on. Yes. Who is responding?
Excuse me.
Yes, please. Yeah.
This is Shahida Khan. May I speak, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, I have opted for A. How can I teach more effectively? That is appropriate question, because teaching from my side as a teacher, when I find that my teaching is effective, then only I can proceed. So I think that this is an appropriate question, that how can I teach more effectively? It's appropriate. I should know whether my teaching is effective or not.
Okay.
So I think it's appropriate.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, Jaya or someone else? Yes, please. Yeah.
Hello, sir. I want to say something about the question number first. So in my view, the teacher is himself or herself is researcher, because he always try to evaluate their student, which method is more effective and by which method the student can understand well. So if a teacher is teaching in the backward area, or if the students are able to understand in their own language, so teacher should use their own language. So I think that teacher is always himself or herself is researcher.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. So can I request Jaya to speak? Jaya, why do you think it's not properly formed? Yes, please.
Actually, the question is correct. How can I help teacher more effectively? But when we are thinking about the question for action research, so its depth is, if we are thinking to take this question for action research, we can't go so, means the narrow down concept which I learned from last year. So it's not means appropriate for the action research. I think how can I teach more effectively with the help of the group work? When we are narrowing down, this question is useful. So it's a vast concept, and we can't take this concept as a research.
All right. Yeah. So can I request Mariana to please respond? Mariana also feels it's not appropriately formed. Yes,
Yes.
please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ravi. Well, I completely agree with the previous participant. I think it's not bad, but I think it's too general. Okay. I think this teacher researcher should focus, should narrow down, yes, be more specific on one issue or one concern, yes, and then start generating further questions in order to start exploring. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, this is too general. You'll have to narrow it down. Yeah. We'll look at the second question now.
This is
Question number
Sandeep.
2.
I also would like to add into this.
Yes, please. Yeah, carry on.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, actually, I would like to add into Mariana ma'am's thought. Like, I would like to tell you about the question, and in that, the word which is used, the effectively. It's a very relative term. So it should be defined first of all, then it can be appropriate.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Good. Very good. Thank you so much. Now, the second one. Why are students in the classroom unwilling to use English? Why are students in the classroom unwilling to use English? Is it okay, or do you think this is we need to reformulate the question? What do you think? Appropriate, not bad, or not properly formed? Yeah. Anybody? What do you think? You can use the chat window, type A, B, C. Yes, please. Yeah. And others can speak as well. Okay. All right, B. Sudarshan is saying B. Okay, not bad. All right, not bad. Sudarshan, can you speak? Why do you think it is not bad?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
as
please.
this question, why are students in the classroom unwilling to use English, is the question, but we can narrow down it. That means whether our students are unwilling to learn English while writing or speaking or reading, in which area they don't like.
Yeah.
In this way, we can narrow down it.
You're right. Very good. Very good. Yes. Can I request Ruben to please respond? Ruben sir said B actually. Yeah, not bad. Okay.
Yes, Barry. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I think that is the question is appropriate, but I wrote B is not bad in the sense that it is not too general because here is it's more specific than number one because here is students in the classroom unwilling to use English, but we can narrow this question down further if we say, for example, well, as Sudarshana said, in relation to any skills, for example, I'm willing to use English when writing or when speaking, for example, but also this could be related to I'm willing to use English depending on the classroom dynamics. For example, when it is pair work or when it is the whole class interacting. Yes, so maybe these are some possibilities to narrow down the question a bit more. So it's not bad, yes, but it could be improved, let's say.
Yeah, excellent. Very well said, Ruben. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, let's move on. The third question of what happens to the quality of student writing when we implement peer editing throughout our 9th grade English classes? Second one, I agree. Yeah, it's B actually, not bad, but it can be a little more focused. All right. And instead of saying unwilling to use English, maybe we can say, why do they hesitate to use English when they are in groups or when they are in pairs? All right. So we have to reformulate. And the third one now, what happens to the quality of student writing when we implement peer editing in 9th grade English classes, right? Yeah. So what do you think, A, B, or C? Is it appropriate, not bad, or do you think this is not properly formed? Yeah, let's use the chat window for some time. Yes. Question number 3. Yeah, Everybody, can you please post your response? Yes. Right. So can one of you please unmute and speak? So why do you think most of you have said yes, this is appropriate? Well formulated. Why? Sohail or Gajanan, Roshni, anybody, can you please unmute? Tell us why. Why do you think this is appropriate?
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. I am Nilesh Kumar Panchal.
Yeah.
And I think this question is proper as a research question because it is so precise and showing what exactly the teacher wants to measure there or evaluate there.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yeah.
Yes,
Any
may
other
I?
comment? Yeah, please.
Yes, I think that this question is appropriate. The research question states the specific issue or problems that your assignment will focus on. In general, however, and I think that a good research question should be clear and focused. And I think that this question is very clear and focused, and that's why this is appropriate.
Yeah. So what is the issue here? What exactly is the classroom issue here? What is the researcher trying to look at? Yogita or anybody? Yeah. What is the researcher trying to look at here? What is the focus? Yeah. Anyone?
Quality of students writing in peer editing.
Focus.
Yes. Does peer editing help in improving students' writing? All right. So the teacher is specifically looking at peer editing. All right. Implementation of peer editing. Yes. What is its impact? What happens to the quality of students' writing when we implement peer editing? All right. Very good question. Right. The fourth one now, how can I construct and use student feedback to improve my instruction in English? How can I construct and use student feedback to improve my instruction in English? All right. Yeah. Appropriate, not bad, or needs improvement. What do you think? A, B, or C? Yes. Okay. Sanjay, A. Okay. Yeah. Please, everybody respond. All right. Use the chat window. A, B, or C? Okay. Suchita is saying C. Not appropriately formulated. Okay. Sudhakar. All right. C. Sudhakar, can you unmute and speak? Why do you think it's not properly formed? Sudhakar, please.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
I think this question is not properly formed because we don't know means if we use a question, how can I how are my instructions in the classroom? So it will be appropriate, I think, instead of this question. How can I construct and use student feedback?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? Some of you, I mean, you felt it is not bad. Why do you think it is not bad? Who would like to respond? Not bad.
It's a very
Anjali. Open-ended. Yeah. Yeah. Carry on. Carry on. Yes.
Yeah, it's very open-ended and it's a big umbrella term. I think it would be okay. How can I construct and use student feedback? It is not specific enough, and reconstructing this statement with more specific words, like mentioning the way of feedback, collecting the feedback or activities for the same would be more specific and measurable, I think.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I have mentioned here A option, but I want to say that there are two things are asked in this question. How can I construct and use feedback? If there is only one thing is mentioned, then it will be more appropriate.
That is either how can I construct student feedback to improve, but so what is the point of just constructing student feedback if you're not able to use it? Just designing a questionnaire, getting feedback, I mean, yeah, how will it be useful if you're not going to use it to improve your own teaching, right? So, I mean, how can I construct and use? All right, how can I construct student feedback?
Okay.
How can I, yeah, construct, gather their feedback and use it to improve my instruction in English? I think it is not bad. It's not bad. I mean, this is fine. The focus is on using student feedback to improve one's own teaching. All right, I think it is okay, specific. There is a focus. I don't find much problem with this. All right. Okay, next, please. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, now here is, I mean, here the research topic is improving speaking. All right, I've taken this from a teacher researcher's report. She's looking at students' speaking skills. How can I improve their speaking? And her research question is how to improve the speaking skills of the students. Okay, now our point for discussion here is what kind of data do you require to answer this question? You can mute your microphone, please. Yeah. So if your research question is how to improve the speaking skills of the students, what kind of data do you require to answer this question? This question can be answered once data from multiple perspectives have been gathered and analyzed. All right. So if you're looking at speaking skills of students, you need to gather data from multiple sources. And then you need to analyze the data that you have gathered. So we need to ask other questions to arrive at potential answers to this summative question. This is a kind of summative question. How can I improve their speaking skills? That is summative towards, you want to improve their speaking, right? Towards solution-based question. How can I improve? How to improve? So in order to arrive at this solution, you need to ask a few more questions. So you get multiple perspectives, right? So the sub-questions could be, why is it difficult for you to speak in English? You can ask your students. So this is very specific. If your main question is how to improve your students' speaking skills, then the sub-questions could be, why is it difficult for them to speak in English? Can conducting activities regularly enhance the speaking capabilities of the students, right? So first, you have to talk to them and find out the reasons. Why do they find it difficult? Why do they hesitate to speak? And then what about conducting activities regularly? Will that help in enhancing their speaking capabilities? And then can the use of writing activities help students to build and structure their speaking skills? Can you think of doing some writing activities as well to help them structure their speaking better? All right, when they write, actually, thoughts become much clearer, right? So maybe you'll have to explore this. And then how to generate ideas for the students to speak in English. So these are the sub-questions. It's very, very important to look at the main question and the sub-questions. See, when you say speaking skills, and then if your sub-questions are related to the sounds of English, for example, how can I teach the vowels? Or how can I teach them consonant sounds in English, right? That is okay. But then I think what you're looking at is speaking skills. Okay, you're not looking at the sounds of the language. You're assuming that they're able to articulate the sounds, and you are at the next level actually. So why is it difficult for them to speak? What kind of speaking activities can I regularly conduct? Can I also bring in some writing activities to structure their thoughts? And how can I generate ideas for the students to speak in English? How can I help them with ideas? How can I generate content for speaking? All right, so these are the sub-questions. Okay, now let's look at a few more questions. I'll just see the time. How much time do we have? Okay, so what do you think about these questions? Are these questions researchable, or do you think they're too broad, or are they appropriate? For example, why can't my students read English? Why can't my students read English? Are these researchable or not? Yeah, quickly, let's quickly go through some of these questions, and then maybe I'll just read out, then you can take up one or two questions and respond to them. Why don't my students like to take English tests? Why don't they like to take English tests? Are action songs helpful to learn English language? These are actually some of the questions framed by teacher researchers. Right? So as a mentor, your responsibility is to make them reflect on the questions, fine tune these questions, and bring a focus. All right, that's what we need to do as mentors. So are action songs helpful to learn English language? And the next question is, which techniques can I use so that students can easily memorize vocabulary? How can I improve the pronunciation of my students for certain English vowels? How can I motivate my learners to enhance their oral expression in English? Why do my learners prefer digital ways of storytelling and reading rather than the traditional ones? Okay, let's quickly take up one or two questions and respond to them. So which question would you like to take up? Anybody, please, you can relate yourself to the teacher researcher who has framed these questions and try to comment on them. If you were the mentor, for example, what feedback would you give? Or if you were the teacher researcher, how would you reformulate the question? How will you fine tune this? Which questions do you think are really appropriate? Which are researchable and which are not appropriate? Yeah, just 2-3 minutes. You can actually use the chat window, type your responses, or you can unmute and speak. Yeah. Second one is researchable. Okay, why don't my students like to take English tests? Why don't they like to take English tests? So that is researchable, Ms. Sudhakar is saying. Okay. You can unmute and speak, please. What do you think about these questions? Which questions are not appropriate and why? Quick, we don't have much time. Okay, so Sudarshan is saying last one is good. Last question is good. Yes. Why do my learners prefer digital ways of storytelling and reading? Good. Yeah. Why do they prefer digital ways of storytelling and reading rather than the traditional ways? All right. Last one is good. Suchita is also saying, okay, right. Fifth one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How can I improve the pronunciation of my students for certain English vowels? Okay, that's also very specific. Pronunciation of students with specific reference to vowels. Okay, good. Right, yeah. Next. Yeah, can one of you unmute? Can you speak, please? What do you think about some of these research questions?
Hello.
Yeah, who is it? You can introduce yourself.
Am I audible?
Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
my name is Sandeep.
Yeah.
Yeah, after going through all these questions,
yeah,
I feel that third question is the very much specific one which I would like to choose among them. And if I choose the remaining ones, I would like to just add a few sub questions to that. I mean, the most appropriate, I feel, third one. And if I choose any one among the rest of them, so I would like to actually add some sub questions to them. Thank you so much.
Okay, see, are action songs helpful to learn English language? Why do you think this is a good research question? I mean, don't you think the answer is very clear? All of us know, I think we all know that action songs are helpful. They are useful to learn English language. There is no dispute about that. So can that be a good...
But actually, if you have given me... Yeah, Ravi sir, but if you have given me this list, and if I'm actually not sure about it, if I want to check my own perceptions about the action songs, so at that time, actually, sometimes it is assumed by you that I know, and actually it is pretty clear for me that every time action song is going to be useful. But it can be assumption. So the list of the questions which have been provided by you, from that, if I'm supposed to choose, so that's my actually
okay. Good.
Thank you so much.
Good. Yeah. Good. Thank you so much. And it also depends on the level. For example, if it is a higher class, maybe you don't need to actually think of using action songs. Yeah, it depends on the context, also the level of the students. Are action songs helpful to learn English language? So what I'm trying to say is that teachers are likely to frame questions for which they already have the answers. All right. That is what we need to clarify. If you know the answer, then you don't need to frame a question. That is not a good research question. I can give a number of examples. For example, is group work useful in learning a language? All right. There is no debate on that. All right. Or for example, sometimes when they prepare a questionnaire, they include questions which are for which answers are very obvious. How do students commute to school? All right. So sometimes, I mean, you will get such questions. What I'm saying is you don't need to ask such display questions. You don't need to do research on such questions. All right. Are there any such questions here? Okay. Next, please. Who else? Okay. Who is going to respond to some of these questions? Yes. Yeah. Yogita, yes, please.
May I?
Yeah. Yeah. Carry on. You muted yourself already? Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, may I, Anjaya?
Yeah.
I will go with the fifth question. How I can improve the pronunciation of my students for certain English vowels? Because I think it's a specific question. It's manageable also. As we use that most technique, it's perfect for that manageable, urgent. And again, means if I am teaching to third or fourth standard, just I will took that the pronunciation of vowels, means if there is a pot, when the O become O, and in VOD would the O become O. The specific there are reasons.
Right.
So
All
I
right.
will
Thank
go
you.
with these questions. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. What about the first question? First one, why can't my students read English? Do you think this is well focused? Is it a very specific question or is it a bit vague? Why can't my students read English? I feel that it is a bit vague. What do you mean by read English? All right. So are you talking about reading comprehension, read and comprehend, or are you talking about reading aloud? So what is the level of the students? You need to be a little more specific here. All right. And then why don't my students like to take English tests? Again, it's a bit general. You need to be very specific. Take English tests. What kind of tests? All right. Is it kind of formative assessment or summative kind of test? You need to be a little more focused here. And then which techniques can I use so that students can easily memorize vocabulary? So I have a problem with this question. This is to do with teachers' own beliefs, in fact. So do you think students need to memorize vocabulary? So if you frame a question like this, then you'll have to reflect on your own beliefs. Do you think students have to memorize vocabulary? And do you think there are easy ways? So you'll have to, I think there is some problem with questions like this. For example, how can I improve their memorization skill? So do you believe that memorization can improve, can help in language acquisition? All right, so this is a question for the teacher herself to reflect on and question her assumptions, her beliefs, right? And the next one is, okay, how to improve pronunciation with special reference to vowel sounds, and then how to motivate my learners to enhance their oral expression in English. All right, how to motivate them to enhance their oral expression, that's fine. And digital ways of storytelling is good, really, that's good. Okay, right. So that's about framing question. Teacher researchers will frame such questions. Now, if you're a mentor, what do you need to do? All right, you don't need to give them suggestions, say whether they are good, not good, like the way I have done here. This is not the way to discuss research questions with your teacher researchers. As a mentor, if you're a mentor, I think you should probe further. Don't ever say, no, it is not appropriate. You need to have a very meaningful interaction with your teacher researchers. You can ask questions in turn for eliciting more responses. You can ask questions, you can ask your teacher researchers to clarify. Okay? So you ask questions for more clarification, or you can ask questions for probing purpose, probe the issue further, or go deep into it. Don't look at it at the surface level. And then you can ask questions to paraphrase, all right? Or you can present alternatives. Why do you think so? What about this? All right, think of alternatives. And you can also ask questions to structure their thought, to guide them so that they'll be able to go further and think of data collection methods and tools. This is actually from Richard Smith's book on mentoring teacher researchers, a practical handbook. All right, why do mentors ask questions? What are the different types of questions we can ask? Right, now how much time is left, Suchita, before I continue, I need to know how much time can we take.
Yeah, you can take as much time you want.
As much time as I want. Are you sure? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
we are
another...
all years over here. All years over here. Yeah.
Yes. So maybe another 5-10 minutes. Then if you have any doubts, questions, we can actually have a small discussion. So now let's, from framing research questions, we'll move on to gathering data. So what do we mean by evidence? What are the different sources of evidence? All right. So evidence is something presented in support of a claim. Description of what happened in the classroom. Okay. So before you frame research questions, these are some of the sources for you to reflect on and think of research focus. You can look at the observer's description of what happened in the classroom. If you have classroom observation practice, look at their feedback and then think of possible questions or test scores that indicate learning. All right, this is also an evidence. Based on this, maybe you can think of possible questions. Why are they not performing well in English? Why are their test scores so low in writing, for example, or in debates, discussions? Why are they not able to perform well? So that should make you think. All right. And then teachers, learners, first person accounts. Your first person accounts, your narrative accounts, all right, or learners accounts, their feedback, for example. All right. So this is your colleagues, head teachers, parents. So are there any other sources of evidence? Maybe there are many others. And when you collect data, and again, say I would look at all these as sources of evidence, sources of data. As I mean, sometimes before you think of research, writing down research questions, you can analyze some of these tools and then focus on your research question. If you have the habit of writing reflective journals, just go through them, ask some critical questions to yourself, and then you'll know what is worrying you, what is happening in the classroom. As I asked you in the beginning, what is happening now? If you read your reflective journals, you will know what's happening in the classroom, based on which you'll be able to take up a topic for your research. All right, or you can listen to the audio video recordings of your own classroom, analyze what's happening. All right, do I need to improve? Where do I need to improve? What can I do about it? All right, so these are useful tools for reflection. And then field notes, if you have the habit of making these field notes. And then maybe for data collection, of course, you can use questionnaires, you can conduct interviews, and then you can also look at your lesson plans critically, and then think of possible research questions. And portfolios, students' workbooks, for example, if they write blogs and pictures of classrooms like this, for example, this one picture is enough to tell us lots of things about what's happening in the classroom. Well, pictures like this, if you look at this picture with a critical lens, then you will know what am I doing? Am I doing something good or something that is not good? Is this a good practice? Not a good practice? Ask yourself questions. So if you look at this picture, what evidence do you get? Yes, somebody, can you speak? What does this picture tell you? As a teacher researcher, how can you use this particular picture? Yes, please. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Yeah. After watching this picture, I understood that the class is so enthusiastic and they are so happy to participate in activities which are conducted by the teachers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So maybe that's a topic for a successful story. All right, based on this successful experience, you can do a research. So research, exploratory action research is not done only on problems, all right? Or not only on puzzles, something that is worrying you. You can also do exploratory action research on some of the best practices that you have had. If you have any successful experience, you can reflect, go back, reflect on it, and ask questions. How do you know that this is a successful practice? I'm really very happy with this picture because this is class 1, grade 1, and the teacher is trying to use newspapers in the classroom to teach them writing, basic writing, recognizing letters and words, in fact. So if a teacher can do this in class 1, use newspapers, help them recognize words, right? I think you should reflect on it and share your practices with other teachers. So when you reflect, you can ask questions and do a research very systematically. Yeah, so that you can generate further success in future. You were able to do it in grade 1, maybe in an English medium section. Now, can you do the same in another section, which is your regional medium, mother tongue medium section? I'm posing a few questions for you to think. So how can I generate similar successes in future, right? Okay, so classroom research can be done on successful practices also, or you can problematize this. If you are a teacher, see, based on this picture, you can think of a problem. Now, how many students were able to recognize words based on this activity? How many of them were able to recognize words? And how many of them are able to, you have to, as a teacher, you have to have the ability to problematize, all right? This may be good activity, but if you want to do similar activities in future, how do you convert this successful story into a problem? How do you problematize? I think that's also of great value. Or students' writings like this, all right? They give us lots of insights. You can look at students' writings critically and see what is good, what is not good, and where can we go from here. What research can we do based on students' writings? What data can you generate from this, right? Or your own reflective journals, for example. If the teacher has a habit of writing a reflective journal, this will also give you lots of insights, your classroom accounts, classroom diaries. Yeah, the only thing is, as a researcher, you should have a critical lens, right? So, and then the other sources are, for example, critical incidents. If something happens in your classroom, then you can reflect on it. Critical incidents, reflect on the incident, what happened in the classroom, then reflect on it, and learn something new. You all know about Kolb's professional learning cycle, right? So Kolb talks about 4 stages in a professional learning cycle. One is concrete experience. So something happens in the classroom, or you do an activity, you get an experience out of it, all right? It might work. If it doesn't work, then reflect on it. Second stage is reflective observation. Abstract conceptualization. That's where you try to learn something new. So something happens in the class, you're worried, you reflect on it, ask questions to yourself, you review the situation, and then you go and talk to your colleagues, discuss, all right, share your ideas, ask a few questions, listen to what they have to say, and then maybe read some articles, journal articles, read some books, get some new insights, new ideas, and then go with an action plan. So an critical incident, something happens, you explore that, and then think of an action plan, then do an action research. So this is exploratory research, then try to do an action research, bring some change in the classroom, reflect on the new set of activities, all right? Reflect on what's happening during your action research stage, and then arrive at personal theory. So this is what Fullan says, real change will happen from within, all right? That's called inductive approach to educational change. From practice, you arrive at theory. So we don't borrow theories from others, all right? We evolve our own personal theories based on our classroom practices. And that is the best way for professional growth, I think. So we all will grow professionally if we're able to reflect on our classroom practices, if we're able to gather evidence and then explore the problem and try to address them, find some solutions, and arrive at some personal theories. I think, yeah, these are some of the references I have made use of. And thank you. You will have another 5-10 minutes for discussion. Thank you very much, everyone. Yes, over to you. Yes, please. Yes, yeah. So another 5-10 minutes for
QA session. Yeah, so one request, Ravi sir, we had asked our participants to post their questions in Marathi or Hindi if they are not very comfortable with English. So yeah, thank you. So if you permit us, like few of you can like state your problem in chat box, or as well as you can state here live.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Any questions, any comments? Yes, please. And I request Ruben and Mariana to please respond to the questions. All right, yeah. So we are here as a team, in fact. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. Please tell us your name.
Sir, my name is Nilesh Kumar.
Yeah.
And just now you have mentioned that we can make research with success stories. Then if we want to make research with the success story, then how can we frame questions for that as a research topic?
Yeah. All right. Can you share a success story? Do you have any successful stories with you, sir? Would you like to share one of your successful experiences? Then we can think of questions. If you have any stories to present, any example of a success story?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I teach in Maharashtra Marathi medium in schools.
Yeah.
And there is one poem in the class 3 where the author tried to put that poem, but that content is in the foreign way.
Yeah.
But we have turned out or adopted that song in Marathi way and put all the content in a song, and that way the students could understood all the words from that poem. So I thought that that is a success story, the way that the teacher used to present the vocabulary. The content was not presented, actually it was mentioned in that textbook, but the teacher had adopted it in its own regional way. And I think it's a good way.
Yeah. This is at what level, sir? Which class? Which grade is this?
It's class 3, sir.
Class 3. Right, right. Yeah. So if you think that is a successful practice, then maybe in the next class, the higher level, class 4, class 5, would the teacher like to do the same practice, or would you like to bring some change? See, if good that it is, you think it's a successful practice, that's fine. Now, if you want to implement the same thing in a higher grade, maybe in grade 4, grade 5, what would you like to do? Would you like to do this a similar thing, or would you like to make some changes so that children will focus a little more on English? Maybe I'm thinking aloud, and maybe Mariana can also respond to that. Yes, or Ruben can also respond. So this is a very interesting topic. How do we do research on successful stories? So next time, if you want to do the same thing, would you follow the same procedure, or would you like to make some changes into, what do you think about this? Would you like to implement it in the same way, or would you like to make any changes next time you do it?
Okay. Hello, sir. May I?
Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, I think all the content can't be changed, but some parts should be changed, because if it helps students to acquire the things or the vocabulary, that's why I think it's a success story and it's a good way to teach.
Yeah. Now, what data will you collect? How will you collect data? So research, we said, research is not complete without gathering evidence, without collecting data, right? Then you'll have to analyze the data systematically. What data will you collect related to this success story? Who will give you answers for your research questions?
Sir, at first I can't understand how to frame question for that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why
right.
I'm asking
So,
that how.
Okay,
correct.
what factors has contributed to the success of this activity or this plan?
Yeah.
So the gathering data could be for that. What factors?
Yeah. So how do the students feel? How did they feel? What feedback did they give? They also think it is successful? All right. Yeah, Mariana would like to respond. Yeah.
Yes, just I completely agree with you. What about the students' perceptions? And then, all right, related to what Suchita said, as regards the factors, okay, the teacher researcher may ask himself in order to explore, will the same factors will help the situation to be successful again in another grade or in another section? Yes, that could also be a question, okay, to generate further success in another grade or with another group, with a different group. But I think that asking students for their perceptions and their feelings is key here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Yes, Ms. Sudhakar. Yes.
May I ask a question, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, what is the difference between a puzzle and challenge? How to differentiate between puzzle and a challenge?
A puzzle and a challenge. Yeah. So this is a challenge for me now. What's the difference between a puzzle and a challenge? So puzzle is something that you cannot solve, right? It's like a mystery, crossword puzzle. All right, crossword puzzle. It's a puzzle. It's a mystery. You have to try to solve this mystery. Challenge is something that you find difficult, right? Yes, Ruben.
Yes, no, adding to what you are saying, Ravi, and answering Sudhakar's question, maybe a puzzle could be just, is my idea, but maybe something that is presented to us is not something that we are looking for. Yes, just is something that comes up in our classes, and we say, well, we have to solve this, all right? And maybe a challenge, I see it as a teacher as maybe as something that comes from inside, yes, of the teacher. That is something that you say, well, I want this to be a challenge for me, or I want to face a certain challenge, but maybe because is the teacher the one who tries to find the challenge, yes, as a sort of motivation for their teaching and practices, right? That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Ravi. Yes, I agree with Ruben. I think that the puzzle may come unexpectedly, as he said. And as regards challenges, I also agree with you and with Ruben. And I would like to tell Sudhakar that we need to remember that challenges become opportunities, because we are all here teacher researchers. So let's face challenges, yes, as opportunities, as ways of exploring our classrooms, as you said, to generate our own theories. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And the challenge will be when you're teaching online, the challenge will be if students don't have access to appropriate devices. That will be a challenge. How will you teach online when students don't have appropriate devices? If they don't have access to internet, how will you teach them on? That's the biggest challenge. So you'll have to think of alternatives. How can I provide them I mean, not access to internet? What alternatives can I provide for those students who don't have access to internet? That is a challenge. Puzzle could be students have access to internet, they have devices, but when I teach them online, they're not responding. They're all keeping quiet. I don't know why. See, that's a puzzle. Students are not responding. They're hesitating to speak when they are online. Why is it so? So that's a puzzle, right? That's a worry. Maybe you'll have to find out the reasons, talk to them. Yeah, right. Yes. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Next.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Name,
this
sir.
is Sandeep from Aurangabad, Maharashtra.
Yes,
Actually,
Sandeep.
the inductive way, inductive approach for dealing with this research, that was a very lovely actually suggestion, and that I loved it. I would like to ask you about the exploratory questions. Like, at what extent is it appropriate to take my, being a researcher, my exploratory questions to so-called experts and ask them about that appropriateness of that questions? Actually, sometimes, you know, a question is dealt and perceived differently by the different people. So at that time, you know, so much brainstorming happens over there. So, and that's why it goes in very different direction. So what's your opinion about it? Thank you.
Yeah. Can you give an example, Sandeep ji? Can you give an example, like, yeah, taking
For
exploratory
example,
question?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely right. To make it more concrete, I'd like to tell you one example. If I talk about like dealing with English pronunciation, and if I take this question, like my students aren't able to pronounce the English words properly, and this is a kind of question for me that I want to help them. That how can I help my students to improve English pronunciation? So if I take this question to you, so you can make it appropriate by adding vowels to it. If I take the same question to Mariana ma'am can think about consonants and ask me just make it appropriate by adding the consonants. And what is exactly the situation in my classroom? I know better that exactly what is going on over there, and my understanding is that I am focusing only on consonants. But when I take the question to different people, so they give different suggestions, expecting me to make it appropriate from their point of view. So, and that's why I like, you know, like sometimes it creates chaos in the minds of researchers. Like right now, I'm
I
playing the
see.
role of mentor.
Mentor,
So
right.
when I was actually a researcher. So at that time, when I dealt with the situation, I was made aware about dealing with the questions with the help of musing. Like Richard Smith's book nicely explains two techniques. First one is musing topic, MUSE, musing technique, and second one is smarting questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I do these two, when I use these two tools, so I come to my questions. But when I take the same question, like right now I'm mentor, so different people bring their questions to me and ask me whether these are good enough for my research. So at that time, I actually request them to think and reflect on your own, reflect on your own practice, so that you'll be able to understand exactly am I appropriate or not. It's very difficult and very courageous for me to say that whether it's appropriate or not. So could you please reflect me or just tell me, explain me what would you do in my situation to respond to this idea? Thank you so much.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for elaborating on that. Yeah, you gave a very good example. I mean, you have done the right thing, I think. I think helping teachers to analyze when they say my students have problem with pronunciation, then you'll have to ask further questions, right? As a mentor. So how many students have this problem? How do you say that they have problems with pronunciation? I think as a mentor, it's very important to uh, ask relevant questions. And as you rightly said, making them reflect, analyze, ask, I mean, how do you say this? Do you have any evidence to say that they have problems with pronunciation? So if there are any recordings, for example, you can listen and then find out is a problem with consonant or vowel. So without evidence, it will be very difficult actually. So that's why, I mean, it's very, very important to gather some sort of evidence to support your claims. When you say the problem with pronunciation, so there itself, we should have some support, right? How do I say my students have problem with pronunciation? Where is the data to say that they have problem with pronunciation? So maybe they have to go back and maybe, I don't know, they have to go back and conduct a small kind of pre-test and find out what exactly is up. If they don't have recordings, if there is no evidence, if there is no baseline data, then I think it's very important to collect some baseline data before jumping into any conclusion, before say deciding whether they want to explore consonants, vowels, or diphthongs. So before arriving at final set of questions, I think it will be a good idea to go back to students and collect some baseline data. So keeping that data, you analyze and then make your questions very specific and go further into researching it. Yeah. Mariana, would you like to?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and actually English itself is a very, like a language which in which letters don't follow the sound always. And for the Indians, especially in my region, Marathi speakers, they face several problems. And that's why going actually for the specification matters a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why just if Mariana ma'am and Ruben sir also would like to say something, that will be a great thing.
Yeah. And also at the end, you'll have to say that your action research has brought in some change in the classroom, right? So on what basis you are, I mean, the teacher researcher can say that there is some change, unless there is some endline data. So I think it's important to collect both baseline and endline data and then compare and say, yes, now they have improved their pronunciation. So it's not a question of consonants, vowels. I think it's a question of being more specific, pinpointing the problem. Yeah. Yes, Mariana.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, what it may help when formulating your questions to be confident about whether they are right or not, apart from news and smart. I think it's a good idea to invite a friend, a critical friend, if possible, to your class for some observation, yes, and then have an interview with that critical friend, and then show your questions to him or her. That may be a colleague, yes, and listen to what that critical friend has to tell you on your questions. Maybe getting his or her feedback may help you to feel more confident about your research questions. Yes, I think it helps having another person's perspective too. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mariana. Yes. Any other questions? Anybody? Yes. As a teacher researcher or as a mentor? Yes. Yeah.
So,
yes.
So may I request you, like a few of the participants may post their questions within 1 or 2 days or like few hours, within few hours. So we would like to share them with you. So is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, please. Yes, please. Yes, Suchita. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I hand over this session to Manjusha ma'am.
Okay. Thank you,
Yes.
Suchita. On behalf of EMAR Maharashtra 2020 and the entire team, it's my privilege to propose vote of thanks to Ravi sir. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Since 1.5 hours, we are experiencing of this. Thanks, Ravi sir, to coming over here and giving us excellent guidance for this occasion. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. I am talking about Ruben sir and Mariana ma'am. They are really a gardeners for us. They have sowed the seed of research in us, and they are watering slowly our flowering talents of teachers. Thank you, Mariana ma'am and Ruben sir for joining here and providing us a great guidance and mentoring us also. Uh, Thanks to Suyog Dikshit sir for providing the technical support for FB live session. And at last, you teachers, teacher researchers who teach from heart, not from the book. Thank you for everyone to joining over here, participating in this session, and thanks for everything. Now over to Suchita.
Okay, I'm speechless actually, Ravi Narayan sir. It would take a couple of days for me to thoroughly understand what you had just said within 1.5 hours. So surely we all promise you that we would frame our questions as best as we can as per your guidance, and hope this project would take a giant leap after this session. So thank you from on behalf of all the participants to Ravi Narayan Chakrakodi sir. And please allow us to pester you for a few more days until we are on track.
Yeah, thank you, Manjusha. Yeah, thank you, Ruben.
Okay.
Thank you, Mariana. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's a great team, in fact. Yes, and all the best, and do well in your exploratory action research. Wish you a very happy journey in this professional journey.
Yeah, it's a insightful journey, and we would love you people over there to guide us, to lead us. So I thank you, Mariana ma'am and Ruben sir, for their timely help and support. They understand us well, and they are always there to help us out. So no matter what difficulties are, small or bigger, they are always there. So be over there. I won't thank you right now because we need you throughout the journey. So be with us. And all the participants and my mentors and mentees, without you, this project is not possible. So thank you for showing the confidence in us that we can lead you. We are trying our best to prove that we are good mentors. So be with us, and together we will learn and become better. So on this note, I would say thank you to all and take care, and have a great day or good night from this end. And please appear yourself on the screens and take snapshots and share on the WhatsApp group or Facebook so that everybody could witness that you are here and we had enjoyed it. So please appear yourselves on the screen and take screenshots. Yeah.
Thanks again, Ravi sir.
Okay, thank you. On that note, I would say goodbye.
Bye, Ravi. Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye there. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Please leave the meeting. Until you leave the meeting, we can't. Shall I turn off? Shall I end the meeting, Ben sir, from this end? So that automatically.
Yes, I think it's going to be, I mean, the recording will be saved. Do you